We are back with another ShipBob's session. This time we have Rachel Olah, our Strategic Solutions Manager here at ShipBob. Rachel works with a lot of our merchants, helping find not only freight solutions, but advice on inventory placement. Today she's going to go over both of those programs and answer questions that come up in the chat. So welcome, Rachel. I've been asking this question a lot, but what has been your big Cyber Week purchase?
Yeah, so that's a great question. I am a little bit behind and I'm pretty embarrassed about it. So I actually haven't even started my holiday shopping, but I'm actually challenging myself this year to try to do a lot of homemade sentimental gifts. So there is that. I do have sort of an excuse.
Oh, we love the
I'm curious. What's that?
We love the eco approach.
Thank you. Thanks. And let's warm up the chat too. And guys, start putting in the chat what you are buying for Christmas this year or the holiday season. And we can go ahead and get started as we wait for people to join.
Yeah, take it away, Rachel.
Amazing. All right. So as Gina mentioned, my name is Rachel Olah. I'm a Senior Strategic Solutions Manager here at ShipBob. And today my session is all about leveraging strategic inventory placement and reliable global freight solutions to really get your inventory to the right place at the right time, especially in preparation for your peak season. So really excited to chat all about that today. All right, team. So first and foremost, let's talk about our newest FreightBob offerings. So if you guys aren't familiar, FreightBob is our end-to-end managed global freight program that enables merchants to pick from a variety of our preferred freight providers, thus optimizing freight costs, getting reliable service, and getting inventory into our network fast, really under our roof of offerings. So it's sort of all in the same place. You know that there are preferred partners. You can have trust and confidence that you're going to get some really great service here. So introducing really the latest and the greatest offering here, FreightBob powered by Maersk. So Maersk is definitely the industry leader in this space with over 65,000 port pairings in more than 100 countries. They do air and ocean and even domestic, and they're definitely our tier one partner, just meaning we partner really the closest together here. So we're trying to partner really for that very exclusive kind of customized factory door to customer door approach. And exclusive consolidation is also available for ShipBob merchants and exclusive to them, merchants of every size, really from startups to enterprise level brands, even if you are a first time importer. And I think that might be a little bit more rare. So that's something that we do support here at ShipBob, and we're able to offer that and leverage our partners to really offer that support. So you don't have to be a logistics expert in this space in order to get inventory into our network, and that's what's most important. All right, guys, moving along to the inventory placement program. So inventory placement is our smart inventory management and distribution solution that allows you to send us your inventory, and really ShipBob does the rest. So essentially, we are coordinating and managing the inventory distribution to get your inventory closer to your customer on demand for faster delivery times, lower cost, and time back to you to focus on what's most important to your brand, right? Your business, your customers, your products, and really focusing on what's most important for your business. So it's all about unlocking that affordable next day and 2-day coverage here, reducing operational complexity. That's huge, especially for limited headcount teams, avoiding stockouts for collaborative inventory balancing, and really just making your customers happy. And this plays into things like return to site, right? Loyalty, making sure that a customer knows, hey, this is going to get to me in 2 days, not 6 days. And I think that's really what it's all about here, is not having to subsidize a portion of your revenue to pay for an expedited program, when really you can be just strategic about the placement of your goods. So that's what it's all about the right product, the right place, and the right time. So staying in stock without overstocking, really positioning that inventory physically closer to the customer, and then of course then shortening zones and lowering that average cost per order without having to have a team of dedicated regional forecast members. Amazing. So you might be wondering kind of what this looks like in process. So all receiving orders for the ShipBob network will be created for one regional hub. So one sort of injection point or location in the network that you can send all of your inventory to. And from that point forward, we have these periodic line hauls that run to different locations across the US market, different fulfillment center destinations, and those locations are responsible for the stowing of your inventory. So all receiving procedures, those are focused on in those hubs, which is really great because they really just have that one job that they can get done for you, and then moving on to stowing at the destination fulfillment center. Okay, awesome. So this slide really plays into the algorithm and that smart part of the solution, right? How it sort of works. So if you're not familiar with the ShipBob dashboard, this is the layout that you're going to see if you create a warehouse receiving order, which is essentially a receipt that says, hey, ShipBob, here's what we're sending you for delivery and stow. So our algorithm is actually based on customer level historical data. So historical sales trends, current on-hand levels in different fulfillment centers currently across the US market, future demand forecasting. Obviously, your team might know a little bit more about what's going on with your supply chain than ShipBob when it comes to things like promotions or new launches or specific marketing that you might be doing in different locations. Head and tail SKUs, that just means SKUs that sell the most often versus SKUs that maybe don't move so often on their own organically. Might not make sense to distribute that slower moving SKUs. A rebalance point across the board, and hero site logic, which is a location in the network that houses your entire product catalog and essentially acts as a safety net for split shipments. And why is that important? That's because I think a lot of the time expansion is really a daunting idea. We want to make sure that we're setting a brand up for success and that all of their inventory is somewhere in the network at one given time to not be having things like split shipments and so on and so forth. And really, I think what's cool about this is if you see in the dashboard every single location in which your inventory is going to be stowed in, you get that real-time visibility, and you also get the option to adjust these numbers. So for instance, the ShipBob hat SKU out of 7,000 SKUs, you know how much inventory is going to each individual site, and you can request to make an adjustment here. Now with this, it's important to note that we're only launching with locations that are previously discussed with the brand. So a conversation with you, hey, yes, this makes sense. Let's go ahead and move forward with these sites. So it wouldn't just be sort of this idea of we're going to have you in 6 or 7 or 8 or 9 or 10 locations across the United States. It's all a preemptive conversation. And lastly, inventory placement drives real results for real brands. So today we're looking at a brand called Semaine, who we've been working with for a very long time. They're a phenomenal partner of ShipBob's, and they launched with inventory placement in 4 locations across the United States. The real results that we saw with them is their average cost per order dropped $2.16 on average. That's absolutely huge at scale. With ShipBob, 1.6 days cut from their average transit time. So that's down from 5.2 to 3.6 days, which is huge. And 4 times the order volume decrease over 6 months. The comparison between them using their prior third-party logistics company and ShipBob is they're reporting a 99.95% order accuracy rate, which is a 10 times reduction in the error rate over their previous third-party logistics company. So that's pretty huge, real results there. Pending any further questions that I'm going to take a look at in the chat here, this ends the presentation. But I do see that we have some really great comments. So Gina, did you want to sort of list some of those off? I do see Gina is joining.
Hi, yeah. Well, thank you, Rachel, for getting us through that with about 5 minutes to spare. So looking at some of these questions, one of the biggest ones was, can brands leverage a portion of ShipBob's fulfillment center, say they want to keep self-fulfilling in the US, but want to expand to the UK, to APAC, to Europe? Is it possible to take a hybrid approach with ShipBob?
So it is absolutely possible to be in global locations across, the network, but inventory placement is specific to US locations. So all of the algorithm and the results that you're going to see are US specific. And when you expand into global markets, we support that when it comes to things like cross-border. We can support things when it comes to, the freight side of the business, but specifically with the algorithm and distribution that's specific to the US market. Stay tuned for when we expand into other global markets as well.
Amazing. And Lisa asked in the chat, how does this work for brands with large SKUs, let's say 300 plus?
Yes, amazing question, Lisa. And that also plays into like, how is this a customizable solution? So this is not an all or nothing approach, right? Inventory placement, you can use the auto distribution for all of your WROs, or you can use it for a portion of your WROs and utilize a custom routing function in which you would send direct to a destination fulfillment center. Along with that might come this idea of a cut line of what SKUs get distributed and what SKUs actually stay in that hero site fulfillment center. So out of 300 SKUs, it's possible that 90% of your sales velocity is maybe 100 or 200 of those SKUs. So we might only distribute that portion when the remainder of the SKUs might stay in that one hero site fulfillment center. But yes, there is a customizable, business decision that is collaborative, that's made together.
Amazing. And we have two more questions that have popped up in the chat. I'm going to start with Dan's question because it's one that we get a lot. Who is responsible for those freight costs if inventory is moving from those hub sites to those end destination centers?
That's an amazing question. Thanks, Dan. So ShipBob's middle mile network and the ability to leverage that middle mile, and honestly, inventory placement as a whole is an opt-in solution versus like a mandatory solution, which you might see with competitors like Amazon or Deliver. So with inventory placement and that opt-in ability, it is technically an additional cost to utilize it. It is based on cents on the unit pricing plan. So we want to make it an extremely attractive offer that would be incredibly competitive to regular domestic freight costs. So we're still seeing that there is an additional cost with inventory placement. However, that cost is severely outweighed by the expansion into additional locations, therefore bringing down your lower average cost per order. So essentially, to utilize the solution, we would need to make sure that you're seeing significant net savings, or that you would at least break even to be able to see that operational efficiency, that optimal distribution, and again, the leveraging of the middle mile network.
Amazing. Yeah, it's such a complex program that we've launched, and it wasn't even available last year. So, big kudos to you and your team for rolling this out. Last question we have here is from Maureen. Is there a relationship between the increase in warehouse and hubs and a brand's market growth?
I think there definitely can be. And I think when it boils down to it, if you think about the potential of pigeonholing, right? We see all the time if a brand is just in one location and for whatever reason that location goes down, there's a blackout, there's a natural disaster or an act of God, whatever the case it may be, right? And that site can't get orders out to customers. Well, think to yourself, is that going to provoke customer retention? Is that going to promote loyalty? And I think the idea of growth also correlates directly to your ability to focus on your own brand, which you can't really do if you're focused and hyper-focused on regional. How much needs to go here? How much needs to go to this place, the Midwest, the Northeast, the West Coast? How much of each SKU? What's my SKU level velocity, right? There's so many different moving pieces and components that inventory placement is really the solve to, that allows you to then focus on growth and scale and what's most important.
Incredible answer. And if any of you guys want to reach out to Rachel directly to talk all things freight, inventory placement, distribution, etc., Rachel dropped her email address in the chat, and that wraps it up for this session. We have one more question at the buzzer from Samuel. Does ShipBob deliver directly to the end consumer?
Yes, absolutely. ShipBob is a tech-enabled third-party logistics deliver to your customer fulfillment operations. Obviously, now we support things like customization at scale, global freight, but our main bread and butter is getting your product to your customers in a timely manner when it needs to be. So absolutely, Sam, we do that.
Yeah, and I will clarify that we do handle that end-to-end process, but do leverage all of the major carrier networks around the world, especially for our global sites as well. So we do have that reliance, that consistency, that reliability that merchants can trust to ensure that their packages get delivered successfully to their customers, fast, at a low cost, and efficiently. So with that, we'll all hop in, or we'll probably get pushed into the next session. This is a new thing that we're trying to just make sure that people don't get lost in the mix. But in about 30 seconds, you will get nudged to the next session, which we're really excited about. I believe we have the Triple Whale team kicking kicking off the next session. Really excited to also announce that we have a new integration with them as well. So they'll be talking through all those things in that next session. See you there in 15 seconds.
Thanks, everyone.
Happy holidays.
Happy holidays.